Hello and welcome everybody to the VAU mic check. Today, we're going to be testing your ability to handle yawning, because that's mostly what you're going to be doing during this script. That's all you're going to be hearing. And if nobody yawns in this, I'm going to be really, really, really surprised. So let us know if you're watching on YouTube. Let us know in the comments if you survived the yawning, if you were able to make it through this without yawning. Because I guarantee you, when I read through this, I couldn't do it. So, without any further ado, there's nothing else. So we have our first volunteer. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right. So, I'm trying to get into character here. Hello. I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max. The refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here are some interesting facts. A yawn, excuse me, is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in my blood. The average yawn lasts about 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's should attempt it. I'm sorry. The ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's should attempting to escape from the body.
Oh, it's Nathan. Can you do me a favor, since I'm not in front of the computer?
Yes.
Or can you change that "should" to "soul"?
Ah.
I was auto-corrected.
A person should attempt.
Yeah, no, it's a person's soul attempting.
Ah.
Yeah.
SOUL.
There we go. It has
Yes.
been.
Okay, I'll try this
Everybody
again.
just
I'll
reload
just
it.
start the sentence.
Soul attempting.
All right, so I'm going to... I was reading it 3 times. I'm like, this doesn't seem right. Anyway.
Should have mentioned something. Come on. Anyway, go for it.
The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. Oh, man. And I might add that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of you listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. You know, you're at the very moment. Excuse me. Ah, that's better. Now, where was I?
Okay. Besides the writing snafu on my part, what did everybody think of that performance?
Well, it was a little too much read through, I guess. There wasn't a whole lot of inflection, so to speak.
Yeah, I didn't catch the self-importance.
Yeah, when I read this, when I thought of this, the character that I thought of was like a college professor that believes, that wants to be called doctor by all of his students,
Mm-hmm.
His or her, their students. Just somebody who's
It's more of
yeah, this is something that's important to you. I mean, this has been your work for the last, I don't know how long, whatever, make up your character. But yeah, this is a person who's supposed to be really important. In order to give the yawning a bit more of an effect, there really does need to be a change in energy from the beginning through to the end. So you need to start off with, this is your first class in the morning. You're really, you're well rested. You've had your morning coffee or whatever you do to wake up, and you're ready to give this. And then as time goes on, you'll lose that energy as you yawn more and more and more. I mean, I didn't include it in there, but right at that that's better. There's supposed to be a popping open sound effects, and it sound like you're actually drinking some Diet Pepsi Max. But yeah,
I just drank a beer.
Well, there you go. You know what? You can use that. You can use that. That's fine. But yeah. So the point of that is to come back to that energy where you were before. So you're kind of like losing it all the way through. You're slowly deflating as you reach closer to the end, and then you take a drink, and bam, you're back to normal.
All right.
Part of the sales process, man.
Of you are at this very moment.
Yeah. Imagine those child.
That's exaggerated, but yeah.
But imagine those kids' toys that they don't have the battery regulation in them. So, it doesn't matter how low the battery is, it'll still try to operate. And it's just like, you've got like a little boat that has a button on it that'll play row, row, row your boat. But when you like put in dead batteries into it, it's like, oh, that's basically what's happening to you. Your batteries are draining as you go down. Imagine the block of text in front of you is your battery level. And as you're going towards the end, so is your energy. Your energy is also slumping by that much. And then finally at the end, bam, right back up to the top. I mean, obviously not that bad, but you get the idea.
Yeah, not my aunt's Mrs.
Oh,
Beaver.
that's better. Now where was I?
All right. So why don't you go ahead, try it one more time from the top.
All right. Hello. I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here's some interesting facts. A yawn, is an involuntary respiratory reflex, which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of you listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you are at this moment. Excuse me. That's better. Now, where was I?
All right.
All right. What did you guys think of that take?
I was picturing his head just like drooping near the table. I mean, he's about to just like knock himself out.
Actually, that's exactly what I was doing. I was laying my head on my computer.
It's like my tired kid performance. Just nice job.
Now,
Anything else?
my only nitpicky little thing is how you went unintelligible just a touch early, in my opinion. But
The 55% part?
yeah, the 55%. It's like all of those should be yawned, but you were starting to go into the whole, like, maybe you could go ahead, pick up a yawn, and then start trying to talk towards the end of it. You get a few words in, and then you yawn again, and then you talk through that. I'm sure you've tried to hold a conversation while yawning uncontrollably.
Yeah, what I'm hearing in my head
No.
in fact, 55% of your listeners will within 2 minutes of hearing this message.
Yeah, something like that. But that would be the only change I would say. I think the way that you pulled the whole thing off was spot on.
Except for that one bit.
Yeah, except for just that one little bit. If you got that though, it'd be perfect. All right, from the top, one more time. Give it to us one more time. Oh wait, before we do that though, has anybody yawned yet?
I've been
I
holding
totally
back excessively.
No.
One little note, if you stretch while you're doing that whole bit while you're yawning through it, you give yourself that I'm just waking up in the morning feeling, it will work you right through it.
Oh gosh, it just happened. Gosh dang it. Okay. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. All right, well, why don't you go ahead and give us just one more take from the top? Go for it.
All right. Hello, I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here are some interesting facts. A yawn, excuse me, is an involuntary respiratory reflex, which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of you will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you are at this very moment. Excuse me. That's better. Now, where was I?
All right. What did everybody think?
I love that exasperated excuse me. Excuse me. He's trying so hard to break from falling asleep on himself.
Well, I for one personally thought that was it.
That was excellent.
That was a great take. Congratulations, you've done it.
Hey, 3 takes, not bad.
No, not bad at all. Alrighty then. Now,
Fantastic performance.
who is brave enough to go next?
I'll do it.
All right. Well, whenever you're ready, from the top, go for it.
All right. Hello, I'm here to tell you about the new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning, so the new Diet Pepsi Max will be that much more effective. Here's some interesting facts. A yawn, excuse me, is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of you listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you at this very moment. Excuse me. That's better. Now, where was I?
All right. What did everybody think?
I could feel him stretching. That was.
You added a couple of words.
Darn it.
Yeah. Otherwise, good pickup, especially after the, where is it? The excuse me, after the first one. Anyway, it's not the new Diet Pepsi Max. It's just new Diet Pepsi Max.
About new Diet Pepsi Max.
And you did it both times.
Gosh. Okay. That new date.
I think it's hilarious listening to Philip try down.
What? I don't know what he said.
But that's really all I could find to pick on you about because you did a good job.
Okay. Well, I mean, everything helps.
All right. Well, give it another read.
All right. Okay, class. Hello. I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here's some interesting facts. A yawn, excuse me, is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of you listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you are at this very moment. Excuse me. That's better. Now, where was I?
All right. Opening it up. What did everybody think?
I thought it was fantastic. Well played.
That was nice.
Yeah. Just the only thought I had, Philip, did another very good job, but
Whatever works.
try up the up in the scholarly just a little bit.
The
Supposed to
scholar.
be the smarty pants professor in this, I think.
Oh no! All right.
One thing that I noticed is also when you get into the last 2 sentences, you actually get louder. You start getting closer to the microphone and you get louder, and that's kind of taking away from the whole dropping of the energy part.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotta. One more for the win.
One more for the win.
All right.
If I could stop yawning.
All right. All right. Good morning, class. Hello. I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here are some interesting facts. A yawn, excuse me, is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And as I might add, that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of you listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you are at this very moment. Excuse me. That's better. Now, where was I?
All right. And what did y'all think?
Terrific.
Mm-hmm. Is there supposed to be a sound effect or something before he snaps back to normal?
Yes, there's supposed to
Energy.
be like popping open in a can and actually taking a drink.
Huh.
So that's, that's better. That, it's supposed to be the right after you take a drink, right after you take a sip.
Oh, darn it. Should have done what Dan did. Just dip my can back. That's better.
There you go.
Where was I?
Very realistic.
Alrighty then. Oh, that was good. That was good. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Man, I am so weak when it comes to trying to hold my yawns. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't know why. I just can't do
I don't know
it.
what you're talking about, Michael.
Please don't.
I don't think I'll be yawning the rest of the night.
Awesome.
Before it gets too bad, I think I should go next.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Hello, I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here are some interesting facts. A yawn is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you are at this very moment. Excuse me. That's better. Now, where was I?
I think it was overall pretty good. Just
It was very good.
Maybe
I-
slowed down a little at the beginning, but yeah.
Okay.
What I like is Michael used his corporate narration training
Yeah, it did sound like it
to pull off that scholarly side.
did sound like
It's like I can hear that in the middle of it, but it works perfectly for this piece of copy.
Well, it did help that I had an e-learning session this morning, so
There you go.
I guess I started off on the right foot for this one.
So it's like, okay, scholarly. Okay, I'm doing e-learning. I'm just going to use this e-learning for this.
awesome.
Well, they see that's the thing. Every little thing you learn doing voiceover, you can apply it in one way or to another to something else you're doing.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's like no genre sits inside a box all on its own ever, unless it's IVR. That you can't get a little too flexible with, but you know what I'm saying. But
Yeah, I was kind of looking at this, and from what it seems like with all the little facts and numbers and whatnot that's getting thrown at you, it really does seem like that. Like with the whole scholarly and self-important, it's like, yeah, I'm trying to teach you something.
I keep picturing this cartoon character with he's got the chart behind him and a stick, and he's pointing at the board, and
Does he have a bow tie? Because my guy has a bow tie.
that's right there. I'm gonna go get my bow tie and suspenders and a white coat.
Yeah, I imagine some cartoony character like that, and the eyes are slowly drooping, to like that half closed and then bloodshot.
Disheveled hair,
constantly.
definitely disheveled hair.
Yeah, getting closer and closer to that. All right. Ooh, okay, so you want me to slow down at the very beginning. Was there anything else?
The yawning was very convincing.
Hey,
Well, half of that was
I
real.
posted
I hear you.
I'm sorry, what was that?
back in the chat for you.
I was breaking up really bad. I could hardly hear him.
Basically, he just posted a YouTube video of just a can opening.
Oh, okay. Some background noise. Got it.
Yes.
Well, I'm not in front of my monitor, so I can't really do anything about it.
Aw.
But okay, so there was slow down, and anything else? Okay, well,
Make it away.
I'll give it another go. Hello, I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here are some interesting facts. A yawn is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average long lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of you listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message, as many of you are at this very moment. Excuse me. That's better. Now, where was I?
Where did that come from?
Where'd what come from? I've got a water bottle in here with me. I mean, it's not going to have the same pop and fizz as opening up a soda can, but you know what? It gets the point across.
Yeah.
That's the point. Taking advantage of the water bottle is a good thing.
Hey, you've got it in there, and if you don't, you should. So you might as well use it.
Absolutely.
I think there are 2 pieces of equipment that are not necessarily the kind of equipment that you would think about that you should always have in your booth or near your recording area. Your first is your water bottle, and your second is chapstick.
Oh, I thought you were going to say fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Well, the fire extinguisher should always be around just in case. But sometimes some days are drier than others, and your lips might, you may be licking them a lot, you may be smacking them a lot. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, I think anytime you go in to record, it's really important to always put on chapstick because it'll remove some of that mouth noise that you probably aren't always aware of that's there.
And in lieu of not liking chapstick, coconut oil is really good for that sort of thing too.
Yeah, coconut oil, something to moisten your lips.
Yeah.
Yeah, my number 3 item is the dog training clicker for editing.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, something to mark where you messed up and where you need to go back and do edits. That's always good. You can always clap. You can always say pickup. You can always, but yeah, that's important as well.
I know you guys have seen me do this, snapping my fingers. It's become a regular thing for me in here. So.
But anyway, back to the read. What did you guys notice that was good, that was bad, that was, something you took away from it? What could I change for another read?
I actually think you pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, so do I. I do have one tiny nitpick.
Okay.
You said the average long lasts 6 seconds.
I did?
I thought I heard
That's
that.
what I heard too.
Okay, the average yawn lasts 6 seconds.
The average lawn lasts 6 seconds.
Yes,
Well,
yes, it does.
It's a California thing.
Yeah, exactly. In
I don't even
California.
have a lawn.
Gosh, I wish we could just tear up all of our grass and replace it with turf.
My wife keeps telling me that every summer.
But anyway, okay, so the average yawn lasts 6 seconds. Okay. Yeah, I have this bad habit where I read a little bit too far ahead and I start putting things in places that don't belong.
No.
It happens.
All right. Anything else?
Same thing. I read way too far ahead. I'm trying to read. I've noticed that when I'm doing my audio.
Yeah, those 3 audiobooks.
Oh,
Yeah, you got to be real careful of that, especially in audiobooks.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I'll redo that one. The average yawn. Anything else?
Nothing I can think of.
All right, this time.
other than that, it was
Here we go.
Okay, sorry.
Hello, I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing. Hello, I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here's some interesting facts. A yawn excuse me, is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average almost did it. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that a yawning. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of you listeners yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you are at this very moment. Excuse me. That's better. Now, where was I?
From the pickup, it was good.
Very good.
All right, you got me on that one. Finally, I couldn't.
Yeah. Yes, got it.
I'm over there using my breathing techniques to keep myself from yawning through his read.
I was good until halfway through that last.
I'm like, purposefully breathe from the diaphragm.
Yeah.
Fine. You don't need to yawn. You got plenty of oxygen in here.
Breathe out. Breathe in. Yawn out. No. Anyway, it might be a good idea to just embrace the yawn, channel the yawn, use the yawn in your read.
Much more yawning you will do.
Join the yawn side.
Oh, man.
Okay.
All right. So, who would like to go next?
That's you and me, Nathan, right?
Yes.
So,
Coin.
all right, I get the hint. I'll go next.
Oh, yes. You are learning up.
All right. Whenever you're ready, from the top.
Hello, I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be much... A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here are some interesting facts. A yawn... is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn, yeah, thanks. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of your listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you are at this very moment. Excuse me. That's better. Now, where was I?
All right. And what did you all think of that read?
That was great. I don't know how he picked up on your stumble, but it was good.
Yeah, thanks.
I think I jinxed everyone by pointing it out.
6 second one over here.
Yeah, if it happens again, then yes, you have jinxed everybody. But if it's just this one, then I don't know. Maybe there's just something weird about my and John's John and mine processing. I don't even know how to phrase that properly.
It's
so
a power suggestion. It's there now.
You're reading Greek and dyslexic. You're looking at that Y and seeing a lambda.
That makes perfect sense.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, what about the scholarly Mr. Know-it-all professor aspect?
I heard a little hint of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't take it too far.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and if you have to dial it back, dial it back. But I would say just take it just an edge further, you know, act a little more corporate with your read. That'll help it.
And what about the register? Was I a little too high?
Your pitch
Higher
was
than
a little-
normal?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Let me guess, you were feeling that, weren't you?
Well, you know, about halfway through, I was like, who is this reading in this booth here with me? It sounds like me. So, all right.
I
Anybody
have
else?
one thing to
All right, yeah.
at the end you go, that's better. I mean, it doesn't sound like you're actually enjoying the soda. It's like, that's
No.
better. That's what it sounded like to me. I'm not sure if that's
Okay.
that's better.
That's fair.
You know,
Do you have some
like
water with you,
just-
John?
I have,
you-
I have some Pepsi Max.
Okay.
All right.
So,
Bye,
better
man.
question. You have something to read to drink on you then, right?
I do.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not on
Perfect
the
time to use it
bottle,
as a
but,
prop.
you know.
There you go. Perfect.
That's better.
That's better. Now, where
Yeah, it
was
is.
From the top.
I? Hello. I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here are some interesting facts. A yawn, excuse me, is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of listeners will yawn between 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you are at this very moment. Excuse me. Oh, where was I?
Alrighty then. Other than that weird connection hiccup there, what did everybody think?
I think that sounded terrific, other than the weird connection hiccup.
Yeah, I have a bandwidth issue on this end.
It's just a little one.
Yeah, it was really minor, but yeah, it hit right at the very end there.
Okay.
All right, yeah. What did everybody else think?
Darn good.
You think he hit all the points that you guys mentioned? You think he sounds convincing? Sounds scholarly enough?
Yes. Totally enough, and I'm over here trying not to yawn to that read.
You got another read yet, Nathan. So not an excuse.
Okay.
I took a nap when I got home, and doggone it.
Oh man, I will say I'm squarely within that 55%. Holy jeebus!
It's tough, huh? It's tough.
Oh man.
All right, one more for the road.
One more for the road. Go ahead.
All right. Hello. I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here are some interesting facts. A yawn, excuse me, is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you are in this very moment. Excuse me. That's better. Now, where was I?
All right. Good
Yeah.
job.
Nice.
We actually heard the end this time without cracks.
All right.
Yeah, without any weird connection hiccups.
Thank you, CenturyLink.
The connection stayed stable.
Involuntary.
Well,
Yeah,
let's hope that we can. Let's hope that we, don't have to pay extra for that. Anyway, let's not talk about
Oh, yeah.
Post.
So, shall we
Yeah.
move on?
Yes. No politics.
Yeah, the last person that hasn't gone quite yet has been Nathan.
Yeah.
Yay, Nathan.
Oh boy.
All right, Nathan, you have been doing your best to not yawn this entire time.
Now I can do my very
How's it working out for you?
controlled yawn.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you have to face the music, so to speak.
All right. Hello. I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be much more effective. Here are some interesting facts. A yawn, excuse me, is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn. Okay. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add, yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of you listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you are aware at this very moment. Excuse me. That's better. Now, where was I?
All right, what did everybody think?
Pretty good. You just added a word that didn't belong there.
And you removed your word as well.
And you said lawn.
I said lawn, yeah.
Oh my
We know
gosh.
Man,
I
those
could've done it
lawns,
lawn.
they're just getting into everything.
As many of you are aware at this very moment, which makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's what you
but-
said.
Yeah.
As many of you are at this very moment. The other thing I might like to point out, actually, is a little story point that I noticed that many reads were missing when it comes to actually hitting it, and that's it stops the yawns part.
Yeah.
You really glanced over that, and actually that happened in quite a few reads because the whole point of the rest of the script is that sentence. And most of the time that I've heard it read, most of the time that I heard you guys read it, it was always sort of subverted, sort of, it stops the yawn, sort of like this afterthought. But that's the whole point of the story going forward. So I think that needs to be kicked up a bit more. It stops the yawns.
Yeah. It needs to be
That's a good
emphasized
point.
just as much as the product itself.
I was trying to stay away from sounding announcery, and that sort of made it seem like it was going to push it over the edge.
Well, in this case, you
No.
have to sound at least a little announcery.
Yeah, there is some announcer to this, not a whole lot. I mean,
Subtle.
good that you tried to control it. That's
No.
the right move there. But yeah, you can still give that a little bit more energy without sounding announcery. It stops the yawns. Like that's the whole point. The refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns.
Yeah, a little bit more excitement to the tone instead of
Yeah.
just a declaration. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, instead of
Yeah.
it stops the yawns.
Right.
Hello, I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max. No, we're not turning into 70s infomercial.
Gary
Or that
Owens.
one guy who still does that.
The best I could do with the lawn after I, got that stuck in my head was kind of mix the L and the Y together and formed a new letter consonant sort of sound. It's like yawn. I don't know if you listen to it. Yawn. It's there. I just can't get it out of my head now.
So now there's an LI and the internet.
Yeah, it's an LEA. LEA, it's Spanish in there. Don't feel bad, Nathan.
Ah, yes.
I like the way he put where he goes, for the first yawn, he used the word yawn while he was yawning. That was priceless.
Good one. Good point.
That one.
Yeah, no, that was a spot on acting choice right there.
Mhm.
I'd just like to hear the story get hit a bit more.
Okay.
I know you know this. I know you got this.
Hello. I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that the new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here are some interesting facts. A yawn, excuse me, is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add, that yawning is highly contagious. At this point, in fact, 55% of your listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of this message. As many of you as are at this very moment, excuse me. That's better. Now, where was I?
On the lawn, apparently.
I did it. I hit you. I hit it.
You hit the lawn.
Greeks believed that lawning was a person's soul.
But I did notice, Nathan, that it didn't really kind of accentuate it stops the yawns, like Michael had mentioned a minute ago. It still felt like it fell a little flat.
Okay.
He was also changing and removing and adding words throughout the entire script.
Oh, man.
You
Have fun with it.
listening to this message instead of hearing this message.
No.
How in the world did I? Okay.
It's not too late. You can still fix it.
Yes, you can.
Well, give it another go.
Hello. I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here are some interesting facts. Excuse me. Is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of you listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you are at this very moment, excuse me. That's better. Now, where was I?
Okay, what was that?
Somebody caught on.
Somebody was yawning. Well, you definitely weren't on the lawn this time around. So that's good.
I almost tripped over the lawn. I did. I caught myself mid-lawn.
Oh my gosh, what have I done?
No, it's what have I done? Are you kidding me? I was the one who's tripped up on that first. And yeah, at the very end, you said you started to add an as. You were adding words in at the very, very end, as many of you are at this very moment.
Yeah, I caught myself and adjusted right there.
Yeah, but
Like-
it was right there. And if this was a studio session and I was directing it, I would definitely say, why don't we go ahead and take that one more time?
Yeah. So starting at
So,
as many of you.
Yeah.
As many of you are at this very moment.
please, I've been doing really good. Let's not get me to yawn again, please.
I'm notorious for being very believable.
Alrighty then. Well, let's go ahead from the top one more time. Let's put it all together. Let's stay off the lawn, and let's make sure that as many of you at this very moment are yawning as possible.
No.
Hello. I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be much more effective. Here are some interesting facts. A yawn, is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add, that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of you listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you are at this very moment. Excuse me. Ah, that's better. Now, where was I?
One nitpicky thing, your energy and your character completely change at it stops the yawns. So, like you have this calm, controlled, professional, scholarly, self-important. You hit that perfectly fine, and then when you hit it stops the yawns. You become someone completely different. So you can still be scholarly, but be excited about it. I mean, have you ever seen Neil deGrasse Tyson? I don't know if it's Neil deGrasse or Neil deGrasse. I don't even know anymore. But Neil deGrasse Tyson, have you ever heard him speak before? He's like the most famous astrophysicist right now.
I think I've caught him once or twice.
Well, he like typifies that excited but professional feel, at least in my opinion. I don't know if anybody has any other examples that they've drawn off of that might be a little bit easier to, or I don't know, a little bit more accessible. But this is the person that I think of when I think of excited, or when I think of professional but excited.
He's got sort of a subdued excitement.
Understood.
Yeah, so that would be that would be my thing, is keep your character the same throughout. It just, you can still pop that without changing your character completely, like what has happened, unfortunately.
Got it.
So if you want to go ahead and give it one more go, be my guest.
Sure thing.
Besides, I think we've got the time for it, right?
Yes.
Yes. Hello. I'm here to tell you about new Diet Pepsi Max, the refreshing beverage with ginseng and more caffeine. It stops the yawns. A great deal of time and research were put into the subject of yawning so that new Diet Pepsi Max would be that much more effective. Here are some interesting facts. A yawn, is an involuntary respiratory reflex which regulates the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in the blood. The average yawn lasts 6 seconds. And the ancient Greeks believed that yawning was a person's soul attempting to escape from the body. And I might add that yawning is highly contagious. In fact, 55% of you listeners will yawn within 2 minutes of hearing this message. As many of you are at this very moment. Excuse me. Ah, that's better. Now, where was I?
That was it. That was the take.
Ah, yes. I found
You nailed it.
Yay.
Way to go, Nathan.
You brought it all together and you hit it out of the park. Congratulations.
And after all that yawning, I feel super energetic. I need
Really?
to
I
read a
could go-
cartoon.
I could easily go take another nap right now.
I'm glad I went first because I would have probably been yawning today.
Well, part of my warm-up preparation is yawning to kind of stretch my vocal cords a little bit. And like when I get up in the morning, I find characters that use a yawn to make themselves sound like this. And just one of those things. So I've learned how to yawn on cue.
Well, I've been yawning this whole time because I'm a sucker and yawning just affects me hardcore like that. But anyway, no, that was a fantastic take. You put it all together and you did it beautifully. Way to go.
Awesome. Fantastic.
All right. Well, if that is it, then that is it, right?
That is it. Yes.
All right. Well, that is it. Anyway, thank you all very much for joining who are here on the Mic Check live. For all of you who are watching on YouTube, thank you all very much for listening. Once again, let us know how many times you yawned in the comment section below, and we'll see y'all next time.